Hello! Welcome! We're on the internet. Let's do the thing. Hello, how's everyone doing? So, yeah, welcome to the stream. We are doing workshop prep. I'm going to be off to Denmark next month. Going to be teaching a group of enterprising, bright, discriminating, the best kind of people, because they bought tickets to my workshop, so obviously they're the best kind of people, about full-stack web development and modern web development in .NET. Hello, Origami Marie, how are you doing? Yeah, happy Friday. It's Friday. It's when you're kind of self-employed like I am, and you sort of run your own schedule, the weeks tend to get a little bit fuzzy. I'm like, is it Friday? I guess it must be Friday. Actually, it's kind of weird how weekends still count, because even if you're like working your own schedule, weekends you don't get important email from other people that you need to deal with, because most of the people who I work with at least still take the weekends off. So, hello, Jake Oxide. Welcome back, says Jake. It's good to be back. Right, so what we're going to be doing today is we're going to, so the workshop that I'm talking about here, it's one that, like I said, I've run before, and I've run it online a bunch of times, but the last time I did that was like 8 months ago, it's towards the end of last year, and there's a bunch of good material, there's a bunch of stuff that's changed, and so I got this whole balancing act. Do I take the one I've already got and try and sort of overhaul it and fix things, or do I spin up another one? And just waking up here, says Origami Marie, which would, well, that, I'm guessing, you know, that could either mean, I'm guessing United States West Coast, or North America, Canada, or you just like sleep late because you were out doing I don't know, bartending or playing the banjo in a late night skiffle band until 5 o'clock in the morning. Anyway, yeah, so yeah, it's the whole like I need this thing and some of it's there but some of it's not there. And what I've decided I'm going to do is I'm going to start it afresh. I'm going to bootstrap a new handbook for this workshop. Bits that make sense, I'm just going to pull those across. Bits that don't make sense, I'm going to rewrite. And you're going to get a chance to see how I do all that, because it's kind of one of those things. I like streaming. I like doing the whole Twitch thing. It's good for focus. Like, I got you folks out there watching me, which means if I start goofing off, you're going to stop watching, unless it's entertaining goofing off, of course. Yeah, you get a little bit of insight into how this kind of stuff works. So what we're going to be doing is... Right, let me switch across to the code view there. Boom, there we go. Transition on that. Switch OBS out of studio mode because that's one too many buttons. Close! United States Upper Midwest. The Midwest being the bit of America that's the western bit of the middle, or the middle bit of the west. I never quite worked out the... So Midwest is like what? Kind of Missouri, Kansas, like that whole chunk of stuff. Ohio. I got a good buddy, Guy Royce from Columbus, Ohio, who is entertaining with his tales of the kind of, I guess, the contemporary folklore of the U.S. Upper Midwest. Sounds like a fun place. Is Kentucky Midwest? My geography is fuzzy, but I know Kentucky is famous for doing excellent bourbons. So anyway, right, let's do some stuff. So what I'm going to do, the way I build my course handbooks is I use a thing called Jekyll. Now Jekyll it's a static site generator. It's built in Ruby. The nice thing about Jekyll is that sites that are built with Jekyll will run for free on GitHub pages. It's kind of like a static site generator, so there's no interactivity there. So what I want to do first of all, now there's a cool thing you can do with Jekyll. Jekyll template repo, or maybe it's the Mind the Docs template repo, because there is I think it's called Just the Docs. Just the Docs, it's a fantastic template. Just the Docs, home. Yes, this is the one we want. Now, Just the Docs, let me show you the kind of stuff you can do with this. So if I go to ursatile.github.io/, let's go to JS Web, which is my JavaScript Web Components workshop. So this is all... it's static content, so it's written mainly using Markdown. Little snippets of that area, but the upper part is close to Canada. So we're welcome out. I think we got a little bit of latency going on with the YouTube stream, so you're going to get some like Apollo moon landing style conversation, except worse than that. We'll like I'll say something, and then a minute later someone will reply, and then a minute later they'll see that I replied. That's why doing stuff online is such a thrill and a delight. Folks watching on YouTube, hello WinFR34K, how you doing? Welcome. Folks watching on YouTube, the latency is a little better on Twitch, but hey, you know, you do you. I'm doing this for the fun of doing it. Anyway, so this is all written mainly in Markdown. Renee, good afternoon, friend. How are you? And you get a bunch of cool stuff out of this, like I got search in here, so I can search for custom element, and this is all static. Like everything here is running locally on the browser, so I don't have any hosting. You don't see anything. Why don't you see anything? Let me... That's not right. There's that. There's that. Which screen is that sharing? Let me fix the problems with the internet. That is that one there. That one. Oh, there we go. Yeah, let me show you why occasionally OBS gets a little bit confused as to whether you can see anything or not. There. That's my Windows display settings. And this one runs on USB, and the rest run on HDMI, and one of them's actually physically mirrored to the standing desk behind me. And yeah, it's one of the things I doing online events during the whole, you know, the pandemic when everything was locked down and you were doing online teaching and all that kind of stuff. Oh, just the number of times when you'd be like, I don't have too many screens. I have insufficient screens. Because basically anything in my field of vision which can't display digital information is a waste of eyeball. So, and as the older I get, the more brain cells die, the more I need stuff written in front of me so I don't have to remember what it was supposed to look like. Anyway, right. Yeah, so this is a handbook, and it's built in a combination of Markdown and static HTML. It compiles down to this client-side thing, and then this gives us like custom elements, search, and all this kind of cool stuff, and that all works client-side. I just really like it. We're seeing a window that looks like a browser where the Twitch chat would be. Oh yeah, we can kill that one. Let me get rid of that. Boom, bye-bye. Remove that. Yes, whee, there you go. Last week we were doing building a mobile device app, or a website optimized for mobile devices. So we can the Dylanception, yeah, we can totally plug that in. Oh, look at that! Now we got a better bleeder. Fix this. Boom! There we go. So that's that. That's the backlighting that takes off the green screen. Ah, look at that. Yes. Let's take a moment, folks. Is there anything else that could be adjusted? Anything else I'm missing? Are the right screens in the right places? The chat looks to be where the chat's supposed to be, and I can see my face in roughly the right position, and I think we're maybe kind of in the, let's just tweak that ever so slightly. I have coffee. Yes, we have coffee. Coffee is fine. Water is available just around the corner. I think we're good. I think we're good. All right. Mac will be up in about 3 hours, because Mac gets his snacks at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And Mac has an internal body clock, which means that at about 4:45, there will be a small squeaking noise from over there, and a little ginger Avenger will appear and start squeaking until I go and give him snacks. But until then, we're good to go. Right, let's do this. So, so this is Jekyll, and the theme for this is just the docs. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to go over here into just the docs. Now, there is a really neat installer for this. The just the docs template is a GitHub template repository that if I use the template, it will give me a new repo that already includes all the bits that I need. So first thing I'm going to do, just the docs template. This is pretty fresh, 3 weeks ago, so this looks pretty good. Is it just me, or when you're looking at a repo on GitHub, do you always like, how old is this? Because if no one's touched it for 3 years, it can't be any good. Whereas when I go shopping for guitars, I'm like, wow, that hasn't been touched since 1957. It must be amazing. It's funny that. Use this template. Create a new repository. So what I am going to do is I'm going to stick this in my versatile organization, and I am going to call this, so this is Modern Web Development in .NET. I got these little 5-digit codes. So I got JS Web for JavaScript Web Components. So MWNet will do nicely. Modern, so this is going to be the course handbook for modern web development with C# and .NET, and it is going to be a public repo, so only you can see it, and we want to include, we don't need the branches, that's all fine. Boom, create that repo, and there we go. That's going to crank that up and make that happen. This should only take a few seconds. All right. Now, first thing I'm going to do is make this thing live. This is going to be live and real and on the internet. So I am going to go on to settings, and I'm going to get down here to pages. Pages is there. And we are going to say, yeah, deploy from, ooh. Don't you love it when people give you a choice between best and classic? Because they don't want to say old and new, because old might sound bad, and they don't want to say this one works and this one might break. It's got a beta stamp on the top of it, but we're going to go with actions for this, because what the hell, we're on stream, let's try some stuff that we've not done before. So custom domains I don't need, enforce HTTPS. I like the color scheme for GitHub Enterprise, like the whole bluey purpley thing, but no, I am not going to spend money just because you've got 80s colors. Origami Marie says, I should comment and document and post my Minecraft mods. They're small and silly, but it would be good practice. Yeah, it's funny the way, like, the projects I've worked on over the course of my career, the ones where I did everything right often proved to be some of the least successful in terms of, you know, going live and actually getting traction, people using them. And a lot of the stuff that was just kind of hacked together in a hurry to see if it was going to work ended up running in production for way longer than it should have done. I think it's a very difficult balance to strike. because the kind of exploratory, creative process of software development, it's fun, but it's often undisciplined. You're poking around going, oh, I wonder what happens if I do this. I'll comment out this block of code, I'll do this. And that's kind of entertaining. Hello, Carbonitech. I've seen your talks on YouTube, love them. Thank you very much. Yeah, I get a lot of people saying I've seen your stuff on YouTube, which is kind of weird. But the cool thing about having lots of talks on YouTube is YouTube uses one of those things that can impress teenagers. Because you know how it's impossible to impress a teenager? And they're like, yeah, whatever, you're like so old you should be dead. And you're like, I got 4 million views on YouTube, and they're like, respect. So that's the only thing I have that has any kind of street level credibility. Origami Murray says the latency is indeed shorter over here. Yeah, so it's this whole thing, Twitch is a better platform, but YouTube, I got way more people following on there. So everyone come over and follow me on Twitch, and then we can slowly leave YouTube for the replays, and Twitch is where it's at. Twitch has got better colors as well, because, purple or red, purple every time. Anyway, so what I'm going to do, I go to GitHub Actions. Yep, that's there. That should be fine. I'm going to click this configure button, because I don't know what that does. Look at that, it opens a text editor. So what do we got? This is a GitHub action. So it's a YAML file that declaratively describes the steps that are going to happen. So we got deploy the Jekyll site to pages, runs on main, yep, workflow dispatch. So this is going to say anytime I push to main, this thing's going to go live. Anytime I click the button that dispatches the workflow, this thing's going to go live. This is the security tokens, because this is GitHub deploying to the other bit of GitHub. Allow one concurrent deployment, do not cancel in progress runs. Now this is kind of, I'm guessing this is an interesting thing. Let's Google this. So GitHub Actions concurrency. Because one of the things that sometimes happens is you push a commit to converted Fizzbuzz into a listenable song. If that ain't street cred, I don't know what it is. You know how many people, I live in southeast London, and kind of 80s power ballads are not really street in this part of the world in 2023. What am I looking for here? So there's sometimes a thing where you push a commit, and then you're like, and immediately as you push it, you see the mistake you made. And you're like, but now I need to wait for that one to finish running so that I can push through the other one. So I'm wondering if this will allow us skipping runs queued between the run in progress and the latest queued. So that means that if we push 1 and then we push 2 and then we push 3, then we push 4, then we push 5, like bang, 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 what it's going to do is going to run 1 to the end and then it's going to run 5 because 2, 3, 4 are going to get skipped. I think that's what this means. GitHub Actions concurrency. Let's see what cancel in progress does. Using concurrency. GitHub Docs version free pro and team, yeah. When concurrency orders not guaranteed for jobs that run within 5 minutes of each other. Concurrency, yes, that's fine. Cancel in progress, true. When a concurrent job is queued, if another job is in progress, the queued job or workflow will be pending. Any previously pending to specify cancel in progress, true. You know what, I'm going to set that to true, and I'm going to see what happens. And at some point this afternoon, we'll get an opportunity to see if that does what I think it does. So what are we going to do? We're going to spin up on Ubuntu. We're going to grab the GitHub Actions checkout thing. We're going to install Ruby 3.1. We're going to do bundler. We're going to set up. Hey, this all looks fine. This all looks absolutely fine. Boom, commit the changes. Create Jekyll for GitHub. Does GitHub have a capital H? I can never remember. So GitHub pages, and all I've done here is, that was a Blue Sky invite code there, just for 1 second, but it's already been used by somebody else. That's why you shouldn't paste things. Let me sanitize my clipboard before I go live on here. And I was looking for GitHub concurrency, cancel in progress is the only thing I changed here. Set to true, otherwise it's all the defaults. Boom, yeah, commit directly, sweet. Bam, done, right, so. Actions. There. Wow, that already failed. Look at that, we've done absolutely nothing and we got 5 workflow runs already lined up. So what do we got here? That one there is showing as that one worked. And that one... Why did that one break? I'm guessing because... Ah! Something interesting has happened here. You know I used the template repo. You know I used that, just the docs template to spin this thing up. This means that this repo now has multiple actions in it that are all going to try and do the same thing at the same time. GitHub workflows. So there we go. What have we got in here? We've got pages.yaml. That came out of the build for us. We've got Jekyll.yaml. That came out of the thing for us. And we've got ci.yaml, which I'm not unsure where that came from. Now, we don't want all 3 of those to run. So what we've got here is that the tooling has helpfully created the same thing for us 3 times. I think the only one we probably need right. I'm going to clone this. I'm going to spin those up, have a look at what they do side by side, see what the differences are. So there's our repo. Let's grab that, clone that. Let me spin up a terminal here. And there we go. D projects, cd GitHub, cd versatile git clone mwnet. Cool. I love it when repos are tiny and I'm like, yeah, done. And you're like, okay. Let's open that folder up in Windows Explorer. You know, you could do that. You type start in Windows and you tell it a folder and it'll open it for you. And all you need to do then is, there it is, remember which screen that window came up. What am I using for the from end? What do you mean the from end, Johnny B. Cat? So what do we got in here? We got yeah, this is the famous YouTube latency kicking in. Folks, you want to switch over to watching on Twitch, the latency is a little better. The comments come up quicker and I can respond to them quicker. Right, so let's go to GitHub workflows. What I want to do is I want to see the difference between this one here and this one here. I'm going to compare them using a tool called Beyond Compare, which is from Scootersoft and which I love because it's wonderful. Right, so interesting. So that looks almost identical. So this is, we got one out of the template repo, the other one, web front end. Are you using Blazor? No. So what I'm doing, so I'm actually working on 2 different things at the moment. One of them is, this is the handbook for the workshop, which is going to be built in Jekyll and GitHub Pages, because it's all static HTML and Markdown. The handbook is for a workshop about doing modern web development with C# and .NET, and the front end is HTML, CSS, vanilla JavaScript. There's still a lot of currency. Like, you know, Blazor is getting a lot of attention, and rightfully so. It does some very cool and very interesting things, but I'm I believe that one of the most valuable things you can learn as a developer is how to solve problems using HTML and a back-end programming language and a relational database, because those are so common across, you know, there are companies out there. Can I give a 10,000 view of Blazor? You mean like a really high-level kind of overview thing? Blazor is .NET code, so it's C# compiled to run on WebAssembly. And there's a couple of different variants on Blazor. 10,000. I can give you a 10,000 micron view of Blazor, like just show you one line of code. So the Blazor, let me just check what the latest state of this is. So Blazor is a Microsoft thing. The guy created, a guy called Steve Sanderson. Basically, I think, like, if memory serves, and don't quote me on this, but I remember Steve saying once he was just kind of messing around to see if he could get .NET to compile to WebAssembly, and he did. And so what it gives you is, this guy Jeff Fritz has got a great YouTube course on it, so if you want to do some more depth, go and look at that. But basically, so to me, the dream of Blazor, the bit that's interesting to me, is the ability to write client-side applications which deploy like a website, but they don't need any JavaScript. So you can have an application where all of your behavior is C#. It's statically typed. You've got a compile checking. You've got all of the, the benefits of using statically typed languages and the tooling around .NET. I've done a lot of JavaScript development. I really do not like Node.js. Just because, it's JavaScript in a browser. Yeah, it's not your browser. You've got to run with what's available there. JavaScript on a web server, it's your server. Run something else. Run anything else. And the Node.js ecosystem, a lot of smart people have done some really kind of impressive work, but to me it's impressive rather than essential. It's like if all of that effort and endeavor had been focused to somewhere else. Yeah, anyway, I digress. So, yeah, couple of folks. WebAssembly talk showed .NET running inside a WASM. So Steve invented Blazor by mistake as a way of showing off WebAssembly, and then a bunch of people went, actually, that would be a really good idea. But yeah, fundamentally, this thing here, use the power of .NET to build full-stack web apps without writing a line of JavaScript. That is the premise. And it's getting close to the point, people have done real stuff with it. Blazor is out there and people are doing real things with it. But I'm not looking at Blazor yet. I'm still looking at the kind of the fundamentals. By the way, there was an awesome talk I saw at Joy of Coding, which was a conference in Rotterdam last month. A guy called Ben Sharp. If I type Ben WebAssembly into Google, I'll probably find him. Ben Smith. That's the guy. Ben Smith writes hand-coded demos in WebAssembly. So he writes WebAssembly by hand to do things like running maze, like simulation maze games and all that kind of stuff. Really, really interesting. Keep an eye out for that. I don't think it was recorded, but keep an eye out for Ben Smith because he does these excellent presentations. Anyway, so back to where we were. We got as far as there are these two things side by side. Now I'm just checking for differences, and I'm going to go with this one. I'm going to go with the one on the right hand side. So the one that came out of Pages is doing exactly the same job. One, the comments are a little less rich. Two, it's using Ruby setup anchored at version 1 instead of anchored at a specific MD5 checksum. Could that go wrong? Probably not, but it's a weird edge case. I'm sure the GitHub team did that for a reason. And the Pages artifact v2 rather than v1. So it looks like the one on the right is the good one. So what I'm going to do there is I am going to scrub the one on the left. So jump back in over here, pages.yaml, you can go. And then the ci.yml, I'm not sure what that's for. That just... bundle exec Jekyll build. Looks like it does kind of the same thing. I'm just going to diff those two side by side, see how much of them is the same. So that branches main, yep, that's fine. And on a pull request. Okay, that's a pull request build. Right. So we got on the left, ci.yaml. Any pull request is going to build it. It's not going to deploy it. So it's going to build it, so if any failing tests or anything, they'll fail at that point there. So we got bundle exec Jekyll build. So open PRs will... Jimmy Engstrom, who's on the stream, Jimmy works full-time on Blazor stuff and has got a bunch of talks and content about it, which is also awesome, so check those out. But yeah, Blazor is on my list of things I should probably find out about, along with so many things. So yeah, ci.yaml. I think all I can do on here is I'm going to take that out, because otherwise that's going to happen twice. So I'm just going to say on pull requests, we're on the CI. There are going to be a whole lot of pull requests on this repo, because it's mainly going to be like main branch based development. It removes almost everything I hate about web development, says Jimmy Blazor. See, I don't hate anything about web development, because I remember what it was like in the dark times of document.layers versus document.all. So let me go into our MWNet. Hello, Technicron. Technicron or Technicron? Hello. I'm guessing Technicron, like chronological, because other yeah, I'm on a Twitch. I've had a Twitch for a while, but I don't stream terribly regularly. So hi. But I'm trying to do more about that. I like Twitch. It's fun. So git add, what are we doing? We're git adding dot, we are git commit minus m, remove duplicated GitHub Actions, and remove main branch from ci.yml triggers. And git push that lot. So that's going to go up to main. This should go live. And what we're expecting to see when we get at the other side of this is, let's go over onto our GitHub, have a look at actions. So first of all, I'm expecting to see only one thing. That's interesting. So we've got, what is the build status on these builds? One of them's waiting to run. That's queued, that's queued. It's in a queue. We got a queue. Queuing is fine. Tell us how to make GitHub Actions work better for you with 3 quick questions. Should we do that? Give feedback. Yeah, how satisfied are you? Very. Which of these make it harder to use GitHub Actions? I don't know. Is there anything else you'd like us to know? Yes. Can I have a button that will run my build now on the fastest computer you have right now and charge me $1 every time I press it? Please? Boom. There we go. So JD says you haven't lived unless you knew the time when marquee was the hottest thing you could have on a site. So you know, not only does marquee still exist, but marquees can be nested and they have a direction. So hang on, that build didn't work. Why did that build didn't work? I don't like that. Response status 503 service unavailable. That looks to me like GitHub doesn't work. Right, we're gonna try that again. Yeah, 503 service unavailable doesn't look like anything I did. Or maybe I upset them by asking them for a go faster button that costs $1. Okay, actions, that one's there. Grab that, deploy Jekyll site to GitHub pages, run workflow on main, run it now. Boom, that should kick in any second and start working. And there we go, that's in the queue, so that's waiting. You know what, while that's queuing, we're gonna do some really, really bad stuff with marquee tags. Look at this. So I'm gonna open up VS Code here. Oh yeah, this was our stuff we were playing around with yesterday, but that'll do. I can drop an HTML file in here. 500 errors a server-side error, yeah. So it's a server-side error. But it's also it means something like went wrong that they didn't anticipate. Like server didn't work. And if we have a look at the actual gnarly guts of this thing, so this is GitHub trying to build a static code using GitHub's tooling on GitHub servers to deploy to GitHub's infrastructure. So 503 service unavailable. Now my project is static, so nothing I have runs anywhere on the server side, so that is absolutely somebody else's problem. And I bet you this time it's going to work. And if it doesn't, then they're still having a problem. We'll try again in a minute. So later, a Git repository was found. Do you want to open it? Yeah, that's what we were looking at the other day. We were going to go over here. I'm going to drop into a new folder. And let's just make a, where are we? We are in my project, which is in throwaway. We can create a new marquee.html. And so you got the classic marquee tag, right? Let's just stick a doc type, HTML, body, boom, there we go. We'll drop marquee in the middle. There's that, and hello world. And let's spin that up in a browser. So let me spin up a new terminal window. This is, as you can tell, not the important work we were supposed to be doing this afternoon. We've got to do something while it's compiling, right? And D, project, CD, throwaway. And CD, what did I call this? This was my something experiments. Or we go into here and we go right click that and we reveal in File Explorer. There we go. Twitch stream hacks. That seems like a good place to keep things. And CD my project, and if I go into source and I do a dir and I run spark. Spark is great. Spark is the emergency web server. Turns any folder on your computer into a web server as long as it's running. Fantastic little project. HTTP codes. 1, anything is hold on. 2, anything is here you go. 3, anything is go away or go somewhere else. 4, something is you screwed up, and 5, something is I screwed up. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So you see that one worked. So we had the same workflow, no changes to the code. It worked the second time we ran it, which is kind of cool. We're gonna spend 2 minutes messing around with localhost 8080. Boom, there we go. And marquee.html. Look at that. It says hello world somewhere there. But now what we can do is we can put a marquee inside the marquee, and we can say direction equals yeah, Copilot to the rescue, direction equals down. So we can refresh that, and look at that. So we got the one marquee going round and round and round inside the other marquee. Isn't that just beautiful? And we'll make the top one bigger. Style equals height 800 pixels. And we'll close. Marquee, there we go. Nested marquees, hey? Isn't that beautiful? And we're gonna put another one inside that. That is what we got right there. Look, Copilot is literally messing up everything we touch. Ain't it grand? Do this head style. Marquee has a outline 1 pixel, solid red. The absolute Swiss Army debugging ninja knife of CSS. Yeah, anyway, we are not here to play with nested marquees. Hello, Max Kruer. Welcome to the stream. How you doing? Oh, you have a Twitch, says Annie. Hello, Annie. Yeah, I have a Twitch, which I used to use a lot, and then they reopened all the pubs after the lockdown, and I didn't Twitch so much after that, but now I'm trying to do more Twitchy stuff, because it's fun, and it's a nice way of chatting to folks like yourselves. Right, let's clean up some junk. Yeah, this is me. I stream on Twitch because it stops me getting distracted. How's that working out for you there? Right, so we've got a GitHub action concurrency. That just worked. Deploy site to pages. That's kicked through. Ursatile.github. There we go. Sweet. So this is real. So that, and hello Foobar Quicks. And that's the website that we just deployed. And this is live and working. And let's build some stuff. So the really nice thing about this, just the docs template, is I'm going to show you a couple of the techniques that I use to create these sort of course handbooks and things. So one of them that I really like is because it's using Jekyll. Jekyll is a client-side templating language. So let's get this thing up and running locally. So let's kill Spark out of there, close that terminal window, jump back over to here, and bundle exec Jekyll serve. Should, if everything is installed, I might need to do a bundle install on that. I don't know if I got all the Ruby bits. No, okay, bundle install. Any of you folks Ruby developers? We got any Ruby folks on the stream today? I've always found Ruby to be a very interesting language. And Jekyll I love, but you know, I don't care what Jekyll's written in. I use Jekyll because I like the thing that it delivers. Let's do bundle exec Jekyll serve, see if that's going to kick in now. That should bring us what we want. So we get a bunch of nice stuff out of this. So localhost 4000, there we go, jump into there. Alright, so that's just the docs template. I'm going to do a side-by-side window split on here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up that folder in a thing called Typora. Typora is a markdown editor, and we can discard that. We'll pick that up again in a second. So Typora is it's a WYSIWYG editor for working with markdown files. So I'm going to jump in over here, and I'm going to open folder, and I'm going to grab that thing we just spun up in there, MWNet, and I'm going to open that in here. And this is basically what we get. So site here we don't need. I don't think there's any way of suppressing it, but that's all right. We'll just ignore it. So we got our readme.md, we got our index.md. This is the bare minimum template to create a Jekyll site that uses just the docs theme. And so this is markdown with some front matter. So if we have a look at the source of this file, so the actual source code we got going on here, if I go to source code mode, we got a little bit of front matter stuff here. So front matter is like key value pairs, little snippets of embedded YAML. And then this is markdown, which is a really easy format to write and stuff. So I go over here, and I'm going to say, look, a paragraph, and save that, and then refresh that. Boom, look, a paragraph. I wonder if there's a Jekyll hot reload plugin. Jekyll serve -- live reload. That, I reckon there's about a 50% chance that's going to work on Windows. All right. So there's that. Please add the following to your gem file to avoid polling for changes. We're going to plug that in. So this is just the Ruby module that we want to use on here to, yes, code dot, open that folder. This is a Ruby gem that gives us file system notification support on Windows, which I think you get for free on Linux and Mac OS, but on Windows not so much. So this is our gem file. We want to plug this in here somewhere. And gem wdm if gem Windows platform. So bundle install. Make sure we got all the bits in there. All right, and now bundle exec Jekyll serve -- live reload. Okay, let's see if that's gonna do what we want it to do. So jump back in over here. Let's look a paragraph with changes. Save that. Yeah, boom. See, instant, immediate live reload on that. Now I really like Markdown because you can do, like, you know, bullets, and bullets look like this, and you can do ordered lists look like this. So it's a really lightweight authoring format. If you need to plug in a bunch of actual HTML, you can do it. Like, let's embed a tweet. So let me go onto Twitter and just find some random tweet we got in there. And what's been happening on my Twitter stream today? Cool, look, Luis is doing the whole MVP buzz because a whole bunch of us are going to be in Berlin next week at the We Are Devs World Congress. Embed tweet. So if I do that and I copy that chunk of code and I come over here and I paste it, what I get is this, which is a little embedded HTML block. And if I click on it, it opens up. Shouldn't do that. If I click on that, or I move the cursor into it, I get the, hey, this is where you go and edit the embedded HTML. But now when I save the file and we spin that back over here, look at that. We got embedded. So it's really nice. Like, Markdown works right up to the point. Elon bills you for using the API. Yeah. I've never given Twitter any money. Actually, I did once. I did once give Twitter $50 to run an advertising campaign for some online workshops I was doing during the pandemic, and they spent $49.80 showing my advertisements to one IP address in Kharkiv in Ukraine. So that was money well spent, and yeah. Anyway, so this is Markdown, and we got this all cool. We can put embedded blocks of HTML. We take that out. Now, the reason why I really like Markdown and just the docs as a way of building handbooks for courses is, let me show you what. So I'm just going to spin up a little thing over here now because it makes it really easy to embed chunks of code. So we're going to leave that window there running in the background. I'm going to spin up another terminal window alongside it. D project cd ursatile GitHub ursatile cdmwnet. So there is our repo. Now what I can do in here is let's say I'm going to make a directory called examples, cd examples, and in here I can do a .NET new MVC -o example MVC web app. So now what I've got is I've got a .NET project that's technically sitting underneath a static Ruby Jekyll project. It's fine, don't worry, these are trained professionals. Appropriate safety equipment is in place. No, it's actually fine with this. But what this will now let me do is I can come over here and I can, let me scrub out a bunch of this because we're not going to need any of that stuff in there. One thing Typora struggles with sometimes is editing footnotes, but that's alright. We can scrub those out, get rid of that. So what I can do here is I can say, so you can do embedded code blocks in Markdown real easy. So I can say backticks and I can say C#, and that'll give me syntax highlighting, and I can pay public static void main and public class program, you know. And tab that in and console.writeLine. Hello world, and bail out of that, and save that, and then boom, there's our hot reload. And so we got that, but we also got kind of C# syntax highlighting. Now that's gone a little bit weird because tabs versus spaces causes some headaches with these. Let me save that. There we go. So we got syntax highlighting, which works with all kinds of languages, but I can also do this. So I can go in here, I can say I want to put in a C# code block, and then at the top of this, I'm going to say program.cs, so just a comment in there, and then I'm going to say include relative, and what did I have? I had examples, backslash. Now this is where case sensitivity could be a headache, because when this thing goes live, it's going to get compiled on a Linux instance. So what do we got? We got examples, example web app. Let me just open this up in, actually I think I just need to grab that, drop in up here, and examples / example MVC web app / program.cs. Now it's a templating language called Liquid, which was developed at Shopify and ended up being baked into the way that the runtime works. But look at that. So what I've got in here is this thing has picked up that and it's gone, okay, you want to pull in that whole program.cs? Oh yeah, cool. All right, we can do that. We'll pull in program.cs. Now there's a couple, I don't like the spacing on this, so we're going to fix that. So I'm just going to go over here. I'm going to figure out where that spacing is coming from. Hey, thanks for stopping by, Johnny. Have a good one. Catch you later. Yeah. Keyword, and some class name, parenthesis, keyword. That's how the syntax highlighting works. Let me see where the line spacing in this. So if I'm going to compute it and I look at line height, 14.7 pixels, we can expand that. And that is coming from base.scss line 72 is messing with the code. So I probably want to override that somewhere. Because that one there is coming out of a Ruby gem, which means if I edit it, I'm not going to get back what I wanted out of that. HTML normalize. Okay, so I'm going to play in a little bit of extra CSS on the top of this, just to override some things about the default style I don't like. But this is the thing that's cool about it, is the ability to pull in code snippets and pull in files that are part of your working example. So you can have code that when you hit build, it builds it, it tests it, you know your examples are good, and then you don't need to copy paste. You can reference them and place bits of those directly in there. At some point, what I'd love to be able to do is to say include, I'd love to be able to do this, include snippet, program.cs, and then a hashtag, and give it the name of a snippet. That would mean building a Ruby gem. I don't have time for that, not now. So at the moment we're including entire files, but... right, so include relative, so that works. Let me just fix up that CSS thing so I get the line spacing I want in there. So let's go into our... Boom, so there we go. So I got Typora for editing the words for the humans. I got VS Code open here to edit the bits that the non-humans are going to see, the bits that used for the back end. So what do I want to do on here? I need to customize this. So title and layout here are both coming out of there. So I think what I want to do is memory serves. I'm going to go into here, create a new file. I'm going to call this layouts. And then in layouts, I need to add a new file, which is going to be called handbook.md is going to be the name for this. So what I want to do on this is I'm going to drop in the front matter that says layout home and handbook. I'm going to need to look this up in a second because off the top of my head, I cannot remember the exact syntax that we're going to run. So now if I change that layout to be handbook, that should spin through, and I've missed the important part of the thing here, which is the piece which actually drops in the template code. Right, let me Google what we're looking for here. Jekyll template, themes, examples, create new code, yep, overriding theme defaults, make a copy in your layouts folder, yeah, that's what we want, and yep, that's cool, yeah, that's all fine, includes, what I want is just an example of the thing I need to add to my custom template to make it work. Creating a theme, payouts.html, style sheets. No, I'm not authoring a custom style sheet here. Adding a screenshot, publishing your theme. None of that is remotely what we want in there. Front matter collection, static files, layouts. There we go. Layouts live in the layouts directory. Yeah, that's cool. Content is the thing we are missing. So over here, I need to drop that in there. So now that works. Okay, so that's pulled in handbook from there. I need to have a look at what I've got out of the... Actually, let's take a look at just the docs. Just the docs. Customize CSS is what I want. Customization, define a new, override and completely custom styles. Put your styles in the file //custom/custom.css. Alright, let's see what happens if we drop that in. So let me go over here, right click, add folder, or new folder, it's going to be _sas. Right click, new folder, custom, and right click, new file, custom.scss. And let's just put a HTML in here, color, red, important. If this turns everything red, it worked. That didn't turn everything red. It didn't work. Should it have worked? Sass custom custom.scss. Okay. Okay, so we got a bunch of custom includes. All right. Because this is cool. Jekyll, the Just the Docs theme is very customizable. I just need to make sure I plugged in the right way for extending the bits that I want to extend. Good afternoon, Catatoon. How are you? We are messing around with Jekyll and GitHub Pages and Markdown and things of that nature. Yep. Override custom.scl. Yeah, that worked, right? I did that. That worked. HTML color red important. Maybe HTML star color. Maybe I just can't remember how to write. Oh, there we go. Look at that. I can't remember how to write CSS. To be fair, I was around when CSS1 was invented, so. Okay, so what do I want to do here is I want to find out why it is giving me all of this space around my code blocks, and the thing that's messing with it there is this code line height. So I just want to put a thing in here that says if I have a block called code line height 1.0 em important. Didn't work. Why didn't it work? Because, well, let's try 8 pixels important, see if it's picking up the right thing. Still didn't work. Why not? Because that line there is picking up from, where's it getting its line height from? So that's our code block. That's the computed line height 8 pixels. All right. So it can see it, but it's not applying it, which is very strange indeed. Weird. Alright. So that's in there. Pre-class equals highlight. That's fine. Code. That's the block. That is the entire block. That is the thing we want. Span class equals that line height 8 pixels. What if I set that to 200 pixels? Is that going to make any difference to anything? No. Okay, that did something. Weird. I can make it bigger but not smaller. I wonder why. It's how software development works. You do the thing that's supposed to work, and it doesn't work. There we go. 12 bit. That's so strange. Let me do a big hard reload on the whole thing, and that is just not picking up. So that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's a paragraph. That's in there. Div class equals highlight. Pre-class. Code. Line height 8 pixels. Switch that off. Switch that on. That's weird. How did Guitaraoke evening turn out? The technology performed flawlessly. The turnout in terms of human beings coming along was not fantastic. We're doing another one on 19th of August at a different venue, which is open later and a slightly different place. But yeah, it was fun. I've done a bunch of them, so I've run Guitaraoke for like a year now. And sometimes it's really cool, sometimes it's a little quieter. This Saturday was, I think, the quietest we've had, and I'm not sure why that was. But the web app worked great. People voted on stuff. We got lucky, like no weirdos on the internet. And he says, maybe it's not line height, but some margin padding border shenanigans. Yeah, let's try and figure out why. So what we got on here is RenAI blocked your IP from the app for the duration in case you were being mischievous about it. So line height this is just really odd. Right, refresh, get rid of anything I've hacked. So what I'm interested in finding out is why is there so much space between all these lines? And div class equals highlight is not that. Pre-class equals highlight. Code. Span. Is there anything on that could be explaining it? Not on that. Font size on that. That's fine. Has that picked up a margin, a border, anything that could be messing with how big it is? Like, no. There's margins are all 0, line height 8 pixels, text size adjust, font size. Good afternoon and welcome to Line Height with Dylan Beattie. Today we are going to be trying to make words go closer together. Advanced computer science. Tune in next week when we'll be orchestrating behavior across multiple distributed systems across 5 geographically redundant availability zones. Right, what the... Okay, let's work the problem. Right, first of all, why is that not doing what I want? Let me see what happens if I put in a code block manually. So let me jump in over here and look at paragraph with changes. So code here, I'm just going to say this is a code block with 2 lines / code. Save that. What do we get out the other side? This is a code block with 2 lines. Letter spacing minus 0.05 ems, you think? That might help? My hunch is that will, because letter spacing is about the horizontal spacing between the letters. It's going to make them all a little bit crunchier, but we'll try it. It's called letter spacing dot not line height. Letter spacing sets the horizontal spacing behavior. So letter height, letter spacing sets this. If we set that to yes, CSS. There. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So letter spacing is horizontal. And the reason why I'm messing with line height is that when we went and had a look at the code, so the thing I always start with is there a setting in here that is already wrong, which I need? That's all right, we live and learn. Is there a setting that's already wrong, which I need to change to be the thing that I want? So if I go back onto wherever my web page went, which I've now lost because, no, it was there. It was behind here somewhere. Boom, 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 boom. There we go. So that's a code block. So I'm going to put a line break in here. Now, I think the code blocks that are getting rendered by Jekyll here, those are coming out as a div with a pre with a code inside it. So I need to put a pre around the code. So that's a pre. And that's code, and that's closing out the pre. So there we go. So now that's a code block with 2 lines. All right, that's picked up the line height. Those lines are too far apart. So if I have a look at what we got on there. Oh, hello, Mac. Mac, it is not snack time yet. But you can come and say hello to the people on the internet if you want. We got CSS cat. Come on. Come on. Come on. There you go. Now you need to look over there. See? Look. Say hello. Say hello. Right. Cat. Hello. You gonna help us, Mac? You gonna hang out? Mac says no. He's gonna make holes in my t-shirt and then destroy some things. Mac destruction is very much the order of the day. We're doing CSS is what we're working on. Are you just going to live there now? Reality. Let me show you what. Oh no, there it goes. Boom and off. Goodbye, Mac. Mac has decided he is not going to be participating in our CSS debugging session today. Right, back to a Dylan Beattie Muppet in Sesame Street. See, I've been telling them that for years. Like that's my career goals. I want to end up as a Muppet. Because then when I'm tired, somebody else can do the Muppeting. Right, where were we? We were trying to work out why these lines of code are the wrong distance apart. So, what we got here is we've dropped in a template. We've dropped in just the docs. It's cool. It works. It's full of stuff. It's big. It's complicated. There's a whole load of stuff in there that we didn't write. We don't understand. We don't know how it works. and it's not doing what we want. So I'm going to now approach this from a completely different direction, because in the same website, I am going to go in here, I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to call this test.html is probably a good name for it. Test.html, right. So, doc type HTML, HTML, head, title, test, yeah, and then body, and then inside body, I'm gonna say, so what do we have? We had a pre and a code. So we got pre wrapped around code, and so this is a line of code. Thank you, Copilot, you're helping, you really are. So now if I jump over here and I go to that and I go to /test.html. Okay, so this is a line of code. Something weird you'll notice. You see how this is like massively indented? It's indented because it's a pre block, and pre preserves white space. So this is a line of code, so that works fine. Maybe I got it. You're using display block for the lines. Let's take a look. Is that... so what do we got on here? So we've got code on there. Let's have a look at the computed style. We're going to filter this to display. So that's on a display inline. So the pre here is a display block, but that's a block. I mean, that's the whole, the chunk that's highlighted in blue that you can see there. And then inside that, we've got code, which is displayed inline, and then all the spans in here are displayed inline. So it's a good idea, but it's not right, or rather it doesn't appear to be what's happening here. So let me just try. So we've got pre with that. Now if we so it's pre and then code and then the block of line in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say this is a line, this is a line, this is another line, and then slash out that code block. So refresh that and jump forward again. So there's the line, another line. Right, so let's see what happens here. We're gonna pick up that lot, come down here, and now this one I'm gonna say style equals line height, and let's say 200 pixels, just to make it really obvious. There, okay, so that does what we expected it to do. So if I come down here and I say 1.4 ems, that should give us something a little less, yeah, so that's interesting. Let's go 1.8 ems. Okay, let's go 2.5 ems. All right, let's try something interesting. Let's try 0.1. Let's try -5. Doesn't do anything. All right, so it looks like line height has some kind of a lower bound. And so there we go. We've got line height -5. So line height will not crunch anything below what it was going to be like. Just out of interest, I think that's probably about 1.2. So if I go to 1.1 and then 1.0, so 1.1 down to 1.0 has no change. 1.1 to 1.2, you can see it moved. Okay, so there's a default in there. All right, so new theory. The reason it's doing this is that line height will not crunch anything smaller than the font size that is being inherited. And the font size is being inherited by a block level element, which means that if we had a... So I think... So what we got here, let's try this out. So I think what's happening here, if we say that pre has a font size of 16 pixels, say, but then inside that code has a font size of 8 pixels, my hunch is that the line height is going to get dictated by that 16 pixels on that. And yeah, exactly that's what's happening there. So we're getting this big old line space. Now if I go and change that to be 24 and I refresh that, so setting the line height on, yeah, okay, figured it out. So what I need to do to get those lines closer together in my original example here is figure out where the font size on the parent element is coming from. Font size was there. So font size 16 pixels is coming out on that, and then the code element inside it. So if we dump that down to font size, make that a little bigger, that can be removed because we don't actually need it. So we're looking at this little chunk down the bottom here now, and the div font size 16, highlight font size 16, pre font size 16, but then code inside that has a font size of 12. So what I need to do to make it smaller is I need to take pre-class equals highlight, I need to target that with my custom CSS. So if I say pre.highlight, font size for that is going to be set to say 12 pixels, because that's the same as it's set for that. And then the code itself, we probably don't need anything for code. Let's try that again. And what's inheriting from where now? So I need a div class equals highlight. Let's try div.highlight and pre.highlight. See if that inherits anything from there. Div class equals language C# highlighter. Rouge. Div.highlighter. Rouge or Rogue? It's Rouge, isn't it? Yeah. Alright, alright. Almost. Oh, now that the text font size set to 9 pixels. So I want to set the code itself back to that. There we go. Look at that. Eventually now maybe I can get rid of some of these. Let me try chopping those out. Save that, refresh that. There we go. Okay, so it looks like what I need to do is to set the font size on the block highlight elements and on the code itself. Cool. Well, that was an entertaining hour and a half just trying to get some bits of text to line up in the right order. Is there a small cat? Come on, Mac. There's an invisible cat lurking over there behind the green screen. Okay, so let's fix that up. Right, there we go. Boom, done. So what do we got? We have got a rudimentary, just the docs template with a handbook. So that handbook can come out. I don't need a custom layout on there. I do need the custom CSS. So on my index.md, layout is going to be home. Reload that. That kicks that in. Right, so what do we need to do now? I just want to sketch out the skeleton that I'm going to use for the modules which are going to run the various parts of this workshop. And I have a one I prepared earlier because I've built projects like this before. So let me open up a terminal window and open code on the project, GitHub Versatile. JS Ray is probably a good one. Alright, so the key here is the file names control the ordering of the subsections. So let me jump in over here, and we are going to create a new file, 01 getting started.md. And we're going to drop in just that little bit of front matter at the front of that. So this is going to be title, getting started. Layout, home, see what we get in our browser based on that one. You could just set code font size inherit. Yes, we probably could. Let's try that. I like that. It's neater than having us repeat ourselves. Custom.sass, so there's that. And now I'm going to put a code inside that, font size inherit. Boom, see if that worked. Did that work? Yes, that worked. I like that. So, cool. All right, getting started, home. So now home needs to be renamed, or at least resequenced. What did I call it in the default one? Index.md, nav order. I remember nav order. Yes. Right, so what do we got? We got index.md in here. So index.md has nav order 0, 0, which means it moves to the top of the list. So there's home, there's getting started. And let's now map out a bunch of stuff on here. So that's home, that's got those. Okay, this is probably good enough. What I want to do now, push this whole thing through the pipe, see if the right thing comes out the other end. Thank you, Blazor, Mr. Magoo. Code font size inherit is a much nicer solution to that. So we are going to jump into our terminal and git commit -m, testing the build with some embedded .NET stuff. Right. Time to do something weird. Now, this is something that I've played around with on a couple of different projects. Basically, we need to do time travel because we need to do some stuff with GitHub. So I am going to grab a pen. Give me 1 second here. And one of those will probably do. Right. Da-dum, da-dum. Okay, so what we want to do now is, let me switch to the overhead camera, zoom that down just a little bit. Look at that, technology. We love technology. Yeah. Wow, that was bad. We're still there. I just managed to accidentally lock my workstation, which is fun and games, and hilarity ensues. So what I want to do is so you're going to have a GitHub repo, right? So we're going to create a Git repo. Now, the approach that I sometimes use to manage the examples that goes with these things is, so the repo itself, what I'm going to do on there is I'm going to throw away this pen and find one that writes on paper, which I realize is an advanced requirement for software engineering. There we go. So the repo itself is linear progression. What we do, we run this thing over 2 days, and we start off with so kind of, revision 0. So we'll call this, say, module 0, 0, and then there's a push that, or a commit that takes that to. Let me fix the focus on this thing. Way, there we go. That good? Should be good. So we got module 0, and then that thing is going to go to module 1. And then that thing is going to go to module 2. And these are all tagged commits. So in the Git repo, every one of these is well, actually, they're probably going to be branches, because what I want to be able to do is to kind of, because often, like, I'll get to module 3, and then I'll have a good idea, and I'll be like, I wish I'd had this at the beginning. Like, I wish I'd thought of this, like, yay, look, little light bulb moment, and I'm like, oh, crap, really? That light bulb moment, that should have happened over here. That should have been in version 1. So by having different branches, we can use Git's tooling to migrate things backwards and forwards between branches. But the other thing I want to be able to do is I want all of these things to exist side by side in parallel. So each of these can actually, so Git has a thing called a submodule, right? And a Git submodule allows you to check out a specific tagged commit or a specific branch from another project. Way, focus. Thank you. I would turn autofocus off, but that camera has opinions. So there we go. Is it going to lock in now? So what we can also do is we can check out each one of these branches as a submodule and drop those in underneath the handbook repo. So then the handbook effectively has the same kind of real-time yeah, it's almost time travel-y. We're basically taking different slices of history. So if you look at the C#, the .NET repository, what you get is linear history. So that thing progresses from module 0 up to that one. But then if you look at the handbook repo, what you get is each submodule exists side by side as different subfolders, so we can diff them, we can see the difference between one size and another and another. So I'm going to sketch out the rudiments of what we need to do to make that work. Now this is going to be really, really hard, and the reason it's going to be really hard is because in order to create the project repository for this thing, I have to figure out what to call it, and naming things is really, really hard. So what do we need? I need a name for something. So that the scenario is an application for selling concert tickets. That's the example app that I'm modeling to work through the way the code works, because that gets you into all kinds of interesting stuff around localization, around time zones, formatting like currencies, those kinds of things. But also, you know, it's kind of a fun scenario, fun thing to work. So let's use my absolutely standard way of naming projects. I'm going to go onto GoDaddy.com and I'm going to see what it'll let me buy. Can I get moshpit.anything? I can get moshpit.co.uk for £1,931. Moshpits might be interesting. Oh no, time zones are brilliant. Okay, they're not brilliant. This is a fun way to deal with the brain-melting pain of time zones, because it's a scenario that's easy to relate to. Like, you got a rock band doing a tour of Europe. So they're going to play Dublin, they're going to play London, they're going to play Glasgow, they're going to play Oslo, Helsinki, Riga, Tallinn, Vilnius. Right, there's always all these different gigs in different time zones, and we need a rule that says that the tickets on the website are on sale until 1 hour before stage time. So if you're in the pub around the corner, you can go, ooh, tickets for tonight. Yeah, I can still get one. You can grab one, you can head around then an hour before we cut it off. How do you build that? Like, how do you build that logic that knows that the stage time tonight is going to be 7 o'clock, but tonight's stage time is in Tallinn, so it's going to be on Eastern European time, and yeah, that's the scenario. That's the specific thing we're going to be coding up. Moshpits. We should probably spell that moshpits with a Z, because that would be cool. I can get that for 1 penny. What do we got? Welcome. You're basically watching me shopping now. Can we get moshpit.anything? Moshpit.biz. Moshpit.dev is 15. Moshpit.inc. Pitmosh.com. Any of these kinds of problems, you know, the problem-solving experience can be a lot of fun. Moshpit is a terrible name. Thesaurus.com, theatre ticket. Let me see, what does it come up with? Did you mean ticket? Accept all cookies. Yeah, let's ticket. What else could be a ticket? Coupon document. That's all really boring. Naming things is really hard. Multiple translation. There used to be an app out there that would translate the same thing into multiple languages at the same time. Input ticket. Translate into, let's pick some fun languages. Let's go to Croatian and Dutch and Esperanto and Finnish and Romanian and Portuguese is on here somewhere. And translate, see if we get any interesting languages out of that. Ulaznica, that's a good word. Ticket, bileto, bileta, bilet, lipu. Yeah. The reason naming things is hard is because it's not a linear process. You just kind of like, I guess I just keep trying things until I like one. Let's plug in Catalan and Danish and Estonian as well. And what language is unlikely to have a lot of linguistic cognate in common? Serbian, line languages, yeah, whatever, there we go, try another one. It looks like billet. It looks like it's billet in absolutely everything except for English, Dutch, and Croatian, and Finnish. This seems like a good opportunity to go and make a cup of coffee. I'm going to make coffee and think it over, and we'll be back in a few minutes. If any of you has any bright ideas about a good name for an example application that we can use to simulate the act of selling tickets on the web for a workshop, drop it in the chat. I'll be back in a couple of minutes. Right. Well, I don't have a name, but I do have coffee, so... So we're going to use a placeholder name. I see a couple of folks in chat talking about the music. Francis Prev is he's a composer and arranger. The reason I use his stuff is he's got a bunch of tracks that are part of YouTube's royalty-free audio library. So you can use this music on your streams and stuff, and they are going to take it down because it's basically released under you can do whatever you want with this music. And it's good. I really like his stuff. It's like hold music with a... No, that's a horrible thing to say about anything. It's kind of wonderful. A placeholder is actually a pretty good name for a ticket site. Yeah. Now you mention it. What am I using in the front end for the workshop is HTML and JavaScript, and if there's any real-time stuff, it'll be SignalR or it'll be Vanilla.js. No Blazor and no JavaScript frameworks, because I don't have a big enough engineering department to justify the use of a JavaScript framework. We're going to call it Placeholder. That's brilliant. Thank you, Jimmy. I'll acknowledge that with a beer next time we catch up. We're going to call it Placeholder. What a lovely, lovely name for a ticket app. Okay, let's do it. So, we're kind of spiking at the moment. Like, what I'm doing this afternoon, I'm just figuring out the approach and reminding myself how a bunch of this stuff works. This may not necessarily end up being the actual version of the actual application that's going to get plugged in. But what I want to do is document the... So we're going to talk about JavaScript frameworks for a little bit here. I have never enjoyed... I did a lot of work with jQuery, but I've been doing this a long time. And when I first started using jQuery, it's because browsers didn't have consistent support for a whole bunch of the stuff we want to be able to do. Good luck searching for placeholder later. That'll be fine. How can it? Maybe we should spell it differently. Maybe we should do what all the cool kids do, and we'll take out the E, so it's placeholder with an not placeholder with an ER. So placeholder. Anyway, yeah. So JavaScript frameworks are like, they make sense. I think a lot of the things we think of as being best practice are lessons when you have large companies who are managing large projects with large teams. If you've got a website where you've got 500 engineers, so that, one, means you've got 500 people. Two, it means you've got, 500 at like a 5% turnover. That means you've got 25, 30 new people joining the team every year, and that's a relatively low turnover. And at that scale, it absolutely makes sense to say, well, you know what? We're going to have 20 people whose job is to maintain this framework, and everyone else's job is to use it. And that way you can get some of the economies of scale, you can get consistent UI, consistent behavior across a whole bunch of stuff. The problem is then, small companies, or small organizations, or like me, they pick that up and they go, oh, this is so cool. And it kind of is, because they always pitch it with this thing that was difficult. If you use this framework, it's really easy. And what they never do is pitch it with, hey, you see this thing which would have been absolutely trivial to do in Notepad with static HTML? Well, now you can't do it because our framework doesn't support that use case. And it's it's a real difficult balance. But I very, very heavily kind of favor just, try to build the thing you need yourself, using code that you wrote and you can maintain and you understand, running on top of well-documented, sort of almost like native APIs. For browser client-side development, I want the browser, brings you up to here, and then everything above that point, I want to write that. Unless it's something, like crypto or JPEG decoding, something which is a very, very well-established common scenario. But the whole, someone else going, oh, our framework is better than you at manipulating HTML, I'm like, well, your framework's probably better than me at manipulating your HTML on your platform with your team and your people who can ask your framework maintenance team to fix it if it doesn't work. I don't want to do that. I want to write a small amount of code so that there's only... I mean, you've already seen today, we pulled in just the docs template. Do I have an opinion on HTMX? Yeah. That's like a portmanteau of HTML and BMX, right? So it's like writing websites, but also you're riding a dirt bike around. I'm kidding. HTMX looks interesting, but fundamentally, unless it's a new browser standard, what you are talking about is different things that end up as HTML and JavaScript. Browsers don't... This is why WebAssembly is interesting and why Blazor is interesting, is that it doesn't end up as JavaScript, HTML, CSS. It ends up as assembly. It ends up as browser-level assembly language instructions that are interpreted by a high-performance virtual machine. HTMX, I like it. Like, it looks interesting, the stuff they've done with it. But fundamentally, it's still providing an abstraction over the things that browsers do natively, and which works brilliantly until the abstraction breaks, or until you need to do something that the abstraction authors didn't anticipate as a requirement. But that's just from dabble. I played with HTMX for like half an hour just to see what the fuss was about. Yeah, I can see how for certain applications it would be a good thing. I like building stuff by hand. I'm old school, All right. So, what are we doing? We're building placeholder with an aren't we? So, I like that name. I'm glad I got you folks on here. Otherwise, I would never have thought to use it. Let's do that. So, what are we doing here? We are... Look at that. I opened another browser tab because the blank one I was looking at wasn't right. We're going to go to GitHub because that's where everything starts. And we are going to create another new repository. Tell us a good day because it's a 2 new GitHub repositories kind of a day. We'll stick this in versatile, and I'm going to call this placeholder. There we go, look at that. I wonder what GoDaddy will give us for that. Placeholder.org.inc.shop. All right, we got some options. Because one of the things I want to do in this workshop is show something actually going live on a real website, real front end. But that's obviously not a vital consideration. Example ticket application for my workshop. C#and.net. Boom, there we go. What is it? Public, yes. Add a README file, yes. Add a gitignore. Visual Studio. Did that work? What? You see that? You see the way when I click the drop down, it doesn't drop down, it moves me back to the top of the page? That smells to me like someone's using a JavaScript framework. Right, there we go. Visual Studio is the one we want. Come on. GitHub's having a bad day. Like, we had a 500 error on GitHub like a little while ago, didn't we? When we were trying to push this site live for the first time. And now, that's... Really? Maybe, is that one working? Let's try MIT license. The MIT license is not finding its own search. All right. Will that let us plug that in? Okay, that's finally taken the hit. All right, public, add a README file, yes. Visual Studio, whack that back up to 100% font size. It may just be a scaling issue. I sometimes crank things up so they're easy to see on the stream. This was going to be versatile. Repository name is going to be PLASEHOLDR, placeholder. How about symmetrical palm tree? How about no? What is this? Ticket demo app for my workshop on modern web dev with C# and ASP.NET. Private, public repo, there we go. Visual Studio, MIT license, versatile, placeholder, boom, create repository. So what I'm going to do here, the thing I want to kind of validate this afternoon is the approach of having like literally the .NET New project in one branch, and then I want to branch off that into the next module. That's where I'm going to plug in a couple of endpoints and see if I can get those checked out side by side. Has anyone ever for a second considered GitHub's name suggestions? Yeah, no. Yeah, who's the person who goes to create a GitHub repo and they're like, oh yeah, I have no idea what I'm going to call this. Yeah, maybe symmetrical palm tree is nice. I'm sure, like, yeah. So, have for a sec. I'd probably consider it for 1 second, but I don't think for longer than 2 seconds. All right, cool. We got this code. Bang, clone this. So, that's where stuff's gonna get maybe a little bit interesting. I have done this before, but that was under Control Studio conditions. Git clone, boom, placeholder. Right, so what do I want to do? So I'm gonna have a... Hi, how are you? First time here. I want to know if it'll be something for me. I'd like to know, will it be front-end JavaScript or TypeScript or something else? JavaScript, but not very much JavaScript. Predominantly HTML and CSS. Sorry, HTML and C# server-side rendering. The fact that like you can get server-side React now kind of reinforces my belief that server-side rendering is a good idea for building performant websites that are easy to cache and all that kind of stuff. And also reinforces my idea that you shouldn't be using JavaScript to do server-side stuff. Anyway, so there we go. So what do we want to do now? We are going to... I'm going to create a branch. And so we are going to go into placeholder. All I'm doing here is I want to just figure out the best structure for all the stuff we got here. So git checkout -b. So this is going to be module 00 because I don't think I'm going to have more than 99 modules, so I can get away with 2-digit moduling. Switch to a new branch, module 00. So there I am. So now in here I'm going to do .NET new web -o placeholder.web. All right, boom, there we go. .NET New SLN. So this is the stuff we were talking about yesterday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever it was, with the So you want to tell us that a language specifically designed to run in a browser in an interpreted setting is not the best tool to build our server infrastructure. I realize that might sound controversial, but also a language specifically designed to run in a browser in 1995 by somebody who really wanted it to be object small talk. Placeholder with an R, no E, because it's cool. It's like Flickr. So, oh, yeah. I screwed my own project up already. Git reset -- hard head. Boom. What do we got? rm -rf placeholder.web. I'm going to be screwing that up every time I type anything, aren't I? Yeah. I hate the fact that PowerShell like thinks it's Unix, but it doesn't know what that is. Rm placeholder.web 8 all bye. There, what do we got? All right. So we've got .NET new project, .NET new web -o placeholder.web. I mean, JavaScript's done some amazing things, but really, it's done amazing things because it's in browsers, and browsers are fantastic because you don't need to download, you don't need to install. It's like, hey, look at my project. You click one link and there it is. You want to watch a movie? Click this, bang, there it is in a browser. You know, I watch films in web browsers now. That's just blows my mind that that's the thing that we ended up doing. Right, placeholder. So now .NET Saloon add placeholder.web and .NET build. .NET build, and see if it works. And code dot. All right, and now while all this stuff is going along here, I should have a program.cs in here somewhere. There it is. Yep, map get hello world, that's fine. Yes, install those. Install that later. Now what I want to do at this point is I want to be documenting what we're doing. So we've got my 01 getting started. Okay, So these are going to be kind of short form notes. So getting started, what are we going to do in this is we're going to do a .NET new web -o placeholder web is going to be that one. We're going to do a .NET new SLN, and we are going to do a .NET SLN add placeholder web to add that to the solution. Code language for this is, I mean, PowerShell will do as well as anything, it doesn't matter. JavaScript makes me want to flip the table and say this shit, but I can never be sure what this refers to. That's easy, you just need to bind the table flipping to the table you want to flip. And make sure that you don't accidentally fuck the table and flip the shit, you know, because that would be really bad. Am I allowed to swear on the internet? I don't know, I never figured that one out. I try not to, but I think in this instance it's easier. I could beep, you know, but alright, so getting started is plugged in there, so that's cool, that's on that. So now what we need to do is I want to code is there, that is this one. We are on get status, we're on branch module 00, which is cool. Actually, I can see that, that's here, that's in my prompt. That's why this prompt is useful. So we got .NET 7, that's fine, that's in there. So now we need to, I'm going to check out this log, I'm going to git commit this log, git add dot, and I'm going to cd into placeholder.web app. Let's check that thing runs, .NET run. Okay, localhost 5230, point the browser at that, hello world, sweet, works. Okay, so next thing I want to do is I'm going to branch this into -b module 01. This is module 1 now. So now I want to mess with a bunch of stuff. So this is where we are going to go .NET new xunit -o placeholder .web.tests. Yep, because we want to test the website code, because that's the way we're going to work on this. There's that, there's placeholder.web, there's the tests, .NET solution add that, let me, .NET SLN add placeholder.web.tests, I screwed up, I put that in the wrong place, that placeholder.web, so placeholder.web.tests should be there. And that's placeholder web test, that's cool, boom, do that .NET SLN add again, add that to that .NET build. .NET test, that's cool. Okay, a couple of other things I need to fix up at this point. One is I want an editor config file as part of this solution. So I'm going to crib my standard, or the latest version that I'm currently comfortable with. It's going to D projects, GitHub. I'm just going to move that so you can't see all the things I do. There's one of those. Let's grab my editor config file from here. We're going to start that folder and paste that in there. So there's a .editor config. Now that I got that in there, now this is the interesting part. I'm going to do a git add all the things. I'm going to do a git commit -m about to run .NET format. Push that lot. Now we do .NET format. It should reformat kind of mostly all the things and all the files and all the solutions and all the projects. And now if let's bring up a git GUI tool. So I got git kraken, which is what I tend to use for this kind of thing. And now let's close out a bunch of these windows. Close that, close that, close that, close that. Open that. I want to open my projects. GitHub should give me placeholder. There we go. So I'm going to have a look at what's changed in this. So that one there has, yep, sure enough, it has moved the brackets. The usings.cs has been fixed up. That's a really interesting detail, because one of the things that my XUnit or NUnit? I tend to use XUnit for the simple reason that all the tests for the .NET framework itself are built in XUnit, and so that kind of makes it the de facto, the one that's going to get all the love. NUnit, I think, is a fantastic project, and I was very surprised why there are Git GUI tools outside of IDE and text editor integrations. Yeah, get cracking. It's awesome. But yeah, Jimmy, I was surprised that XUnit was adopted as the de facto standard, but yeah, it's there. I have no problems with it. I tend to use it for everything now. It always jars a little bit. They're like, fact, because they don't want to collect test. I mean, it's clearly a test, but they're like, test and inline data and theory and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, they're like, we need a name for this, and we don't want to use the same name that NUnit used because it's just going to look like we're ripping them off. So they had to kind of, it feels a little contrived in places. Yeah, what does it do that the CLI or my editor won't do nicer? Well, for starters, it's got animated squid. So when you go, look, this dude here, he's a cuttlefish called Keith. The other thing it does, which I mean, maybe it's just stuff I don't know how to do from the command line. I'm comfortable on the command line, pulling, doing merging, branching, that kind of stuff. I like the visual view of all of your branches and modules, so if I go over and I close that file down, you can see on here that we've gone from module 0, and that's become module 1. And now at some point we're going to spin this off into be module 2. But I like the ability to go in and say, well, show me all the files that changed in that one. Let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at that. What do we got changes here? There's that one. Okay, I can see the staged kind of increments along the way on that. So what I want to be able to do now, there's unit test 1. I need to plug a couple of tests in here. So the first thing that we are going to test is I'm going to go into my program.cs and I am going to say public partial class program required for our program class to be visible from our test projects. We could do this with internals visible too, but that sometimes doesn't work. Actually, it doesn't work with mcrunch specifically, as we discovered last week when we were doing this on the Guitaraoke project. So public partial class program, so that's in there, which means I can go in a placeholder web.tests. I can go into my unit test.c1. I can replace this and what is it, F2 to rename. Boom. Rename that to be, so we're going to call this, let's call it web tests for now. In fact, now at this point I just need to crib a little bit of code to get the setup for a factory. Why not MS test? So did you ever notice that the Windows, they went through a phase where there was the Windows Presentation Foundation, WPF, and the Windows Workflow Foundation, WWF, and the Windows Communication Foundation, WCF, and at some point someone said, let's do Windows Test Foundation, WT. Hang on, we'll call it MS Test. That's a good name for it, MS Test. Why not MS Test? Because honestly, Jimmy, 3,225 votes on a poll. 10.6% said MS Test. 22.3% NUnit. 67% XUnit. Yeah, I think it's, one of the things that makes the .NET ecosystem perhaps, very different to any comparable kind of, open source, just any other programming ecosystem, any other choice platform and stack and everything, is that although .NET is now completely open source, and if you want to, you can download it and fork it and do whatever you want with it, the Microsoft stamp of approval still has I think a massive influence on the community's willingness to embrace particular tools and things. Even to the extent like, Newtonsoft JSON versus system.text.json, a bunch of people were like, oh, cool, Microsoft supports Newtonsoft, we'll use that one. And then Microsoft went, well, actually, not only do we support Newtonsoft, we've got our own that basically does the same thing. And James Newton King, who wrote Newtonsoft, is now a Microsoft employee working on the REST endpoints for gRPC. So it kind of all gets confusing. But yeah, 67% in XUnit, because I think that's just become the de facto standard. What are we doing? We are building a web application test factory thing in here. Let me grab a bit of code from last week's project that will remind us how we do that. So I'm going to jump in over here, and I'm going to go to Guitaraoke app.guitaraoke.live tests and web tests, and we're going to have a look at web test base, and web test base inherits from that over that over that. So we're going to drop in a that inherits from iClass fixture of web application factory of program. This means we are going to need to install a where's my CS proj file? We need Microsoft ASP.NET Core MVC.testing. So we're going to plug that one in here. So cd placeholder Alright, so that's got that plugged in. That should now pull that into... should be able to see what we need. I've missed the colon that denotes inheritance. There we go. Boom, that all worked. And so what I'm doing here, we got this little hello world endpoint. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change that to be /status, and I'm going to change that status to be okay. It works. This gives us a really, really simple thing to test that is not going to change because it's designed for testing, visibility monitoring. Basically, it exists to give us something we can ping to see if our website is still alive. So status goes to OK, so that's on there. So now my unit test 1, I'm going to say, so status endpoint returns OK. And we need to do a little bit of constructor injection on that thing. So over here, there's that one there, root web tests. Client equals factory. So in our web test base, we want the that little chunk of code in there. So status endpoint returns OK. This is going to be really, really simple. So I'm going to say var factory equals new web application factory for program. And those can be scrubbed because they are not relevant to what we're doing here. Var client equals factory.create client. Should give us what we need. Have a look on there. Yeah, factory.create client should work. Var response equals client.getAsync. So this becomes a public async task. Await client.getAsync/status. And response.ensure success status code. There, test. Now let's be test driven here. I'm actually going to break the code. So that's on there. And we are going to do a, shrink that down just a little. .NET test on there. The type 1 namespace name web application factory could not be found. Why not? Because we need to pull in a using, which will be in our global usings here, which will be in, I'm going to grab that whole lot, come over here, drop that in there, and we don't need that one, we don't need that one, we don't need that one, we don't need those, I don't think. Program could not be found because the last piece we are missing is cd placeholder.web.tests, .NET add reference. Cool. All right, we're expecting red. This test should not pass. Boom, there we go. Response indicates 404 not found. That's red. Going over here. Boom. What do we got? We've got red goes to green. Status returns OK. Back over here. .NET test. Boom, red, green, git add dot, git commit -m endpoint testworks, .NET format. Boom, clean that up. There we go, partial class program, that's in there. A couple of things in here I do not like, so let's, I'm going to open full Visual Studio. Because I want to use a bit of resharper to clean up a bunch of things. Incidentally, if anyone was thinking about buying tickets to NDC Porto, give them a free plug because I'm going to be there. NDC Porto is coming up. And it's in Portugal, which is amazing, and it's in Porto, which is one of the most beautiful cities ever. And today is the last day for the early bird tickets offer for them. So if you were thinking of coming to that, you should jump on and buy a bunch of tickets. So, good question from Annie there. What is the class fixture thingy? So, this is it's a really nice mechanism that's now available in .NET, where basically what it'll do is it'll let us run our website end-to-end inside a test fixture. So by inheriting from this, we're saying, hey, this thing here, this is a class fixture that requires a web application factory that knows about your program. And our program is the thing over here that runs our website. And I don't know exactly what it all does under the hood, but what I do know is once you've got a web application factory, you can say create client, and then the client, this thing here, will let you do HTTP. So hey, get this, post that, do an HTTP put over here, do a patch over there. So instead of just testing little bits of the code that makes your website, you're actually testing the pipeline end to end. You put a request in this end, you get a response out the other end. The whole thing hangs together. So we've got a response equals that, ensure status code. So yeah, it's a testing kind of framework. I mean, everything's a framework, it's software. But yeah, it's a testing set of base classes you can inherit from that make it really easy to just go, hey, start the website, check this request, make sure you get that response, and then shut it all down. It runs in memory. There's some very lightweight stuff we can do with it. So there we go, that's on there, that works, that's clean, that's a .NET format, and we were open in Visual Studio, weren't we? There we go. A host app just for test, yeah, pretty much. Or probably more accurately, it's a piece of infrastructure that makes it trivial to create a hosted website just for testing. Open a project or solution. Let's go into the projects, GitHub, Ursatile, and placeholder, and we'll open placeholder.sln. So I just want to clean up a couple of things in here. So first of all, we got some file names that aren't right. So unittest.cs, that should be called whatever the name of the test was. So we want to plug that in. So we'll grab that and rename file to match type name. Actually, we're going to do so there's our usings.cs. So those can come out. Remove global using directives and solution. So this is something that I try to do when I'm creating, workshop sample code is clean up anything that doesn't need to be there for this part of the story. Anything which isn't essential, like there shouldn't be any line of code in here which is not necessary to demonstrate the thing we are actually doing right now. So we got web application builder, build, map-get, app.run. That's all cool. Our app settings.json is just configuring logging levels. That can kind of stay there for now because we're going to get onto that very, very quickly here. And then we've got our usings, we got our web tests, we've got our, let's add that to the resharper dictionary now before we go any further. Placeholder.web.tests, and yep, that's cool. And let me just do so the other thing I want to check is what do I get when I do a code cleanup on here. I've got cleanup code. There we go. Control EC. So this is ReSharper's code cleanup. And let's. What I'm going to do, I'm going to commit it to Git, then I'm going to run that because I want to see exactly what it does. So git commit -m commit before running ReSharper code cleanup. That looks pretty good. Save all the things, and now Git Kraken will say what changed, and it changed. So I love this. It's like file contents are unchanged. I'm like, then what? Like, what? Why are you showing me a difference here? Does anyone know? Like, if I do a git, what is the thing that modified? Like what? Can I mute notifications? Yeah. There we go. Any reason you push reach commit? Force of habit. Also force of habit, and what if the house burns down and all your commits get lost in the fire? I mean, yeah, it's as daft as it sounds. If I've been working all afternoon and I've been checking commit, and then like Windows falls over, or there's a hard drive crash, or something, you know, anything along those lines, then you've lost it. Whereas as soon as something's been pushed, it's cloudy. It's in the cloud. You don't need to worry about it. Why are those files changed? This is the kind of rabbit hole thing. It's like, why does the thing change? What's different here? Why does Git think there are changes on those files? Yep. Is it file mode? Line endings? I mean, let's take a look at what do we get if we, okay. It's tabs and spaces. Is what it is. And this is where things are going to get fruity. I'm team tabs because tabs is an accessibility thing, and there are people out there for whom tabs means the code is readable and spaces means the code is not readable. So that switched everything here across to using tabs. All right, stage all changes. Okay. So the interesting thing, there is an editor config. And if we open the editor config, which I can do in here, which is there, indent style equals tab, indent size equals tab. The problem is that .NET format does not respect that. ReSharper code cleanup does. But if we run a .NET format across this, the .NET format did not clean it up because I did that and it didn't pick it up properly. So yeah, is there a way of getting .NET format to replace? Let me find the article, tabs accessibility. There is a somewhere. So the specific example that I read about, there it is, Adam Tuttle, tabs versus spaces. It's an accessibility issue. You have to make it a warning for the format to do it. Smab UK, how do I make it a warning? Anyway, the basic argument is that the point people are making is if you have really, really big fat code. So if I go over into, say, my Visual Studio editor here, and I go into my webtests.cs. Now, let's say that I was kind of really had my code whacked all the way up. Now, if you got this, now I can go in here and I can say, actually, I want to make a tab a single space wide, and so I can fit a lot more code on the screen because I'm not losing this much for the indentations and stuff. Whereas the other thing is people who have very, very tiny code, they want to be able to say, well, actually, let's make really, really big tabs so that things stand out a long way. I did once work on a project years ago that somehow managed to get to a point where every line was indented with 3 spaces and then tabs after that. I don't know how. I have no idea how it got into that condition. But that's what people were following. That was the syntax that everyone was following for that particular project. Smart UK. So let's just go rabbit holing here. .NET format, tabs versus spaces. Is there a way to get .NET format to do that for us? Using .NET format to format the C# code, April 2022. What is .NET format? Ships as part of .NET. The tool is used to enforce editor config rules or default rules. Yep, that's fine. This rule ensures that all indents. The problem with editor config is applied when needs to run a manual step. Yep. So add the editor config file. And yeah, and .NET format manually. Yeah. VAR preferences. Integrate .NET format into your build process. I always found this like weird, like .NET format, like the doing .NET format as part of your build process. You don't care about the source code; you care about the output. As some kind of pre-commit hook, like it formats the code before you generate your commits and things. That makes a lot of sense. But yeah. So let's see what .NET format does if I screw this thing up. So I got public class program, and then in here I'm gonna have a public void. This method has tabs, and then down here I'm gonna have can I switch on a visible white space? Is that a thing that exists? View. Appearance. Render white space. View. There we go. Appearance. Render white space. Yeah, switch it on. Okay, so then we got this method here, which is indented with so this is kind of junk code, but this is just to see if .NET format is going to pick it up. Also, Copilot is doing good work today. So jumping over here and .NET format. I thought I switched off notifications. I've closed WhatsApp. The thing is that Windows is now going, oh, you got WhatsApp messages. How do I kill with extreme prejudice? Turn off all notifications. Yeah. How did WhatsApp end up being baked into Windows? And why have they called? Oh no! Don't mess with that. I just want to switch all the notifications off. Like Windows, no, off. There, boom, done. Fine. Let's see if that works. Windows knows better what's important for you. They always do. Yeah. Well, Windows keeps saying I should have Windows 11, and I had Windows 11 for a year, and it drove me like mad with rage because it didn't work properly. So, but I guess at some point it'll become inevitable. Did .NET format do anything there? Yes, it did. Look at that. .NET format replaced those stuff. Let me try that again. So space. Save that. Space. Ooh. Did it work? There we go. Okay, so .NET format is working now, which is nice. Okay, today we learned a thing. There we go. So my biggest frustration with Windows 11 was I couldn't copy and paste from Photoshop. There was some bug somewhere in the code integration between and it wasn't a Photoshop problem, but that was the main place I noticed it. There was a bug where if you copied certain kinds of graphics data onto the Windows clipboard, the display driver would crash about every 5 seconds. I have an example of this somewhere, and like everyone, I was like, "This is a problem." They were like, "We don't care. We're not going to fix that. That's not a problem. It doesn't matter." There we go. Photoshop flickering bug. See that? The whole Windows Task Manager would flash. And it made it unusable. Like, I would forget this, and I'd go into Photoshop, it'd be working away, I'd be like, Control-C, and bloom, 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 and yeah, no. I tried, I waited, I filed bugs, I reported it to Adobe, I reported it to NVIDIA, I reported it to Microsoft. I found a repro step where you went into Google Chrome and you went help about and you right-clicked and it started crashing. Nope. Nobody cared. And after like a year of waiting for this to be fixed, yeah. I know, outright hazard for certain users. And it was just really frustrating. All right, so what do we got? We got a .NET format. We've got our testing. That thing's in there. That thing works. So now we can git add all the things. Git commit -m, web project, test fixture, and formatting. Right, so what we got now is on the placeholder application, we've got module 0 is .NET new thing, and then module 1 is the code formatting and the first end-to-end test and the cleanup thing. So what I want to try and do now, this is the sort of slightly weird part of all of this, is I'm going to go into cd ursatile cdmw modernwebdevelopment.net. I'm going to go into examples. Now I'm going to delete example MVC web app. All, boom, bye-bye, nothing left in there. Now what I want to do is I want to check out those two branches from the other repository side by side as if they were separate folders, which is going to be, so let's take a look. Let me show you what we're going to do here. So we're going to use the thing called the Git submodule for this. Yay, Git submodule is the best thing no one's ever heard of. So what I actually want to do now is I need a git submodule add, and I'm going to give it the remote URL. So I'm going to jump in to github.com, and I am going to go into our placeholder app, which apparently does not exist. It's in Ursatile, isn't it? Ursatile placeholder. So what do we got on here? No, I do not want a pull request on that. We're going to go into our branches. We're going to go into module 0. And what I want to do with this is I want to check out that branch. So we are going to go over here. I'm going to go git submodule add. Let me check. I think it's git submodule add. Git submodule add, and then the clone, and then the name of the thing I wanted in. So I'm going to drop that in there, and I'm going to call this module 00. Hello, Alex. Thank you. Yeah, the other code is lots of fun. I had such a good time putting that together, and it's so nice that people still kind of are interested and they're watching it and asking me to come. I still get invited to go and do that talk as keynotes at places, which is fantastic. So now I'm going to go into module 0, and I'm going to do a git status, and now I'm on main, but now I can get check out module 00. Now I need to do a git pull or a git fetch, whichever one it is. How do I do a git pull and bring down all branches? Other than doing it in the GUI, which is why I use a GUI, because let's go into our open a repo, and I want in my GitHub thing, MWNet. So we're going to open that one, we're going to pull that, and that is going to give me, okay, so there's a submodule. Let me open that one, open the submodule, and pull that down. Fetch all is what I want, and it's going to pull that, and why? So this is weird. Why is module 0 not... Did I never push that? Let me go back over into my... spin up another one of these. Projects. GitHub, CD, placeholder, dir, so git checkout, module 00. I never pushed it. That's why. Okay, so now if I go back into the other one, I'm going to do a git fetch. And now I can check out module 0 in that one. But now I'm going to go up here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out the same submodule into folder module 01. And now I'm going to go into module 01. And now I'm going to git check out module 01. Cool. All right. So what do we got now? Is we got this weird kind of project where in one context it's linear history. Module 0 branches to module 1, branches to module 2, module 3, module 4. But then on this repo, they exist side by side. And what's kind of nice about that is I can now go into this repo here. I can start that from there, go over here, and I can do a side-by-side diff, and I can see in a visual comparison what the history was between those two folders. Where is compare? There it is. So this is like interesting. Module 00 has nothing in it. So apart from the fact that I've screwed up, because module 0 contains no commit. So module 0 is there. Git status. What did I have on that? Nothing to commit. Work and treat clean. All right. Let's plug in .NET New Web. Well, I don't need to start again. I can rewrite history. .NET New Web placeholder.web or .web minus O. Sorry, that should be. So .NET New SLN. .NET SLN add placeholder.web. And git status and git add and git commit minus m .NET new web .NET new SLN. If I rewrote history for this, I'd definitely screw it up. Nah, it'll be fine. So what I need to do now, we're going to get a merge conflict, but I can go over here to placeholder, and I'm going to say what I want to do now is I want to module 1, I need to check that out, and then I need to rebase that on top of module 0. Rebase failed. Why? That's fine. We got conflicts on there. We'll take that one. No, we'll take that one. That's the one we want. Oh no, this is genuinely fruity now. Because we have... Okay, so the fun part here is the placeholder.web. So we need, this is going to be some gnarly cherry picking. We need to take that line, no, that line, that line, that line, that line, that line, that line, but not that one. And not, yep. So we've got project and project, so we don't want project equals FAE there, because the GitHub stays clean. The logic behind having them as separate branches is that it means you can look at the main project's Git history and kind of see what changed from one step to the next. and also tools like rebasing make it easier to drop a change in on module 0 and then propagate that module forwards across module 1, module 2, module 3. I have dabbled with this. Like, this is not something I've done a lot. It's something I've done a couple of times and had pretty good results with it. But yeah, the reasoning is that I want the commit to be as close as possible to what would happen if you just sat down on the morning of day 1 and you wrote flawless code for 2 solid days without making any mistakes, and you committed it every time you got to a significant milestone and you cut another branch off that. And so the branching allows us to then take each branch and say, right, here's the main, merge module 0, done. Merge module 1, done. Merge module 2, done. And then we get a clean forward commit history that's easily reproducible across another repo. At least it kind of feels to me like that should be a thing that's doable. But yeah. The thing you got to remember about the difference between the Twitch stream and the actual workshop is the workshop, the people are paid to be there, so I want to make sure that what I'm showing them works. On Twitch, you can get your money back if it doesn't work, or if I go down some dumb rabbit hole that turns out to be a stupid idea. So yeah, that's the thinking. So I need that project there, and is that the same? Are those the same GUID? That's got to be a screw up. So the way the Visual Studio SLN file works is that thing there should be a GUID that uniquely references the project itself. And oh no, we're fine. It's alright. Is it alright? I have no idea. I'm becoming dubious of being able to, because the SLN file, when you plug the project into it, it generates a new GUID. And having done that, what it's done is it's generated another new GUID for us. Yeah, you can mess this up real easily. Watch, this is what we're doing right now. We are making mistakes and learning from our horrible mistakes. I do not enjoy the idea of manually hacking around a solution file. Now, everything else we got is probably okay. That one just doesn't matter because we can pull out either of those files. So let's save that one. That one I want to open and beyond compare. I want to do a 3-way merge on this. So what we got over here is, what I need to do is take the bits from the right that exist on the left. So I want to take those 3 lines there. I want to take that line, and I want to take that line, and I do not want to take that line, so I need to take that line from that one, and the corresponding end project should not be a thing. So I got project equals that one, which is the A955 project code. And then down the bottom here, I need to take the A955 project code, but then the block underneath that, I need to take the blank line. So that gives me an SLN file that references only placeholder.web, but it does it with the project GUID, which is going to form part of the subsequent commit. So that's going to merge clean onto there. So I can save that, close that, that's all marked as resolved. Continue the rebase. Boom, we got more merge conflicts. Yeah, that's fine. Just take either side is alright for that one, because that doesn't matter. Continue the rebase there. Successful rebase. So what have we got now? We've got a pull. We want to push that. 2 file conflicts were found. We shouldn't have any conflicts. And that's commit on module 1. That commit on module 1. So module 1 is the one we want here. That's the one we want to keep. So we pull that into there. Launch settings. Yeah, we don't give us stuff of that launch settings, commit that and merge, push that live. There we go. Now that is not. Yep, no, that's good. No. That's not how rebase is supposed to work. Because we should have all of these commits here. .NET format endpoint test works. They should now appear as if they happened after. Oh no, there we go. We got them. We're about to run endpoint test works. Okay, so rebase successful, I think. So we're just going to check that. So what I want to check now is if I go into, so let's go into our modern web development project, cd example, cd module 00, git pull that one. And from here, we should be able to do a .NET build. We should get a clean build out of that. And we should be able to go into placeholder.web and do a .NET run. And this should just give us a hello world in a web browser. Hello world in a web browser. There we go. That's cool. All right, happy with that. But then we want to go up a level. I want to go up to there. I want to go into cd module 01. And do a git pull on that one. Okay, .NET build. .NET test. Should pass. Cool. And if we go into our placeholder.web and do a .NET run in that one. And jump over into there, localhost 5230/status should say OK. If we spell status correctly. The status endpoint does not exist. OK, look at that. So that works. So what we got is the linear history is fixed. That works. But now I can go over into Typora and I can. So we're gonna call this thing, so this is gonna be 00 getting started. So .NET new, and this should give us a basic .NET web application. So this is gonna be in placeholder .web/program.cs, and then I want to include relative, and this is gonna be examples /module 00/placeholder.web/program.cs C#. Then we're going to right click and add, actually let me duplicate that because it'll give us what we want in here. So 01, testing and formatting. Actually I'm going to call this actually getting started. So what do we got? Title 2, actually getting started. Layout, home, okay. So in module 1, in module 0, it's going to be module, yeah. In module 0, we used .NET tooling to create a new ASP.NET Core web application. In this module, and I'm just going to bullet point this because boom, 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 boom. We are going to add an editor config, plug in .NET format, set up a test project, build an end-to-end test, create a status endpoint. Okay, so those are the things I need to talk about when we get to here. And now what we want to say is, so build an end-to-end test, boom, 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 C# code block, and this one is going to be placeholder.web.tests/webtests.cs, and now I can plug in and include relative over there, drop that in here, /webtests.cs, and create a status endpoint so your program looks like this. Save that. Boom, that needs to be module 01. That needs to be module 01. Save that, save that, save that. Jumping back over somewhere in the background. We might even have a Jekyll bundle build thing still running. Reload that. Could not locate the examples module 0 place because I can't spell placeholder. That is going to bite me so many times. Like, I think just for that reason alone, it's a terrible thing to have named the app placeholder without any in it. So I think maybe we fix that. So that should be fine. And is that? I think that's Jekyll's great, but I hate the fact that on Windows it runs as two nested batch files. It's like that smells like a hack from the days of MS-DOS 5. Terminate batch job, Y or N. Right, why did that not work? Boom. Cannot locate examples. Module 01 placeholder.web.test is just misspelled. So tests. There, almost. Cannot locate, of course, because I've still got my index.md with a bunch of includes that are not actually happening on here. So we can scrub that. We can scrub that, and then back over here, done exact Jekyll serve minus live reload. Okay. Browser. Open. All right, actually getting started. So getting started. Do that. That gives us a basic application. So that chunk of code there, that's the code block that got hash included or pulled in from the other one. I am going to I do not want a blank line at the end of my program. That is an editor config setting I need to change, I think. Editor config insert final new line equals false, because when we import the C# source code into the rest of the program, okay, so insert final new line. Now the question is, if I do a .NET format, is it going to fix all of those? Now that's a classic example of something that I should have done on, so hang on, I'm going to revert that change, because I can walk you through the actual process of changing my mind later about what I wish I'd done at the beginning. So we're going to scrub all that lot. Don't save changes to that. Close all of those files. So now in the placeholder app itself, which is in my Git Kraken thing here, I want to pull out module 0. Two conflicts prior to checkout. View changes. That one there, discard. That one there, discard. Throw all the things away. So I want to pull out module 0. So now we're on module 0. I'm going to go into my editor config, which is... I didn't have an editor config in module 0. All right, we'll start it with module 1, but then we can roll forward on module 2, 3, 4, and so on. So insert final new line equals false, view change, editor config. But if I now go into... the thing, so we've got, what am I doing here? I need to push those changes from here. Hey, you know, 4-dimensional chess. We're playing 4-dimensional chess with GitHub commits. So this is my module 1 branch. That's got that in it. I want to do that, but I also need on here to do a .NET format of that chunk of code. So that's my Jekyll folder. That's my examples folder. So this one here... CD, what was it called? Placeholder, .NET format. Let's see if this is in fact going to remove the blank line from the end of all those files. So, done. Yes. yes, yes, look at that, it did. So I want to keep that, keep that, keep that, keep that. Remove blank lines from ends of files and update.editorconfig. Boom. So I push that and push that, but now when I jump back over to here, so in my handbook code, gonna write a fun little thing. So I'm gonna do a code, and I'm gonna call this pull all.cmd, and pull all.cmd is gonna say for %1 in /d%1 in star do cd %1 and git pull. That is exactly what we want. Thank you, Copilot. Good job. What was unexpected at this time? That's weird. 4, because it needs to be %1 because it's inside a command shell script, and %1 means a placeholder. There, boom. CD, pull, back up. Down, pull, back up. There we go. And that should have triggered a rebuild, and that should mean that our Typora thing now, if we go into any of these, so those are still there. But if we look at it in a browser, which is there, so that app.run, so those are good, those are good. Our app.run in, of course, that's module 0 where we haven't fixed the code formatting yet. So I just want to change the nav order on those. So we are on Typora. So 0, 0 getting started. 01 actually getting started. Index start. That nav order 0, 0. That one nav order 0, 0. That one nav order, save that. Yeah, this one nav order 0, 1. So home. Yay, getting started. That gives you that. Actually getting started. We got that, we got that, we got the hash includes, we're not got those rogue new lines. Now what I can do here, so this is kind of the fun part, if I find something I don't like in the way the handbook thing is, by the way, one of the things I love about just the docs is when I'm doing this with groups, kind of, you know, live in front of a session, it is very, very easy to just blow up what you got to there and go, right, look at that. And so you don't need to make PowerPoint slides because the code blows up to the point where you can actually use it as a presentation tool as well as sharing the link so that yeah, so people can get it on their own screen, they can copy it, paste, they can do all that kind of stuff, which I like. It's a really, really kind of nice way of presenting stuff. I don't like that trailing new line there on the app.run, so we're going to fix that. And the way I'm going to fix it is I am going to go into my VS Code, and I'm going to go into, so I got examples, module 0, placeholder.web, program.cs. I'm going to fix that because that should not be there. And now I'm going to do a git add.git commit -m remove trailing new line, git push. So this is the submodule that is part of the handbook project, which means now if I go back over to my main project here and I pull that, that's going to pull down a change to module 0, which is fine. So now I can pull out that module 0, reset local to that. I want to be on that one. Now I'm going to pull out module 1, which is going to fail because I got Visual Studio open and all kinds of stuff like that. But what I want to do now is check out module 1 and then rebase module 1 onto 0. There we go. What are the conflicts we've got? That should have been resolved already. That's cool, we can keep that side, that's fine, save that. Program.cs, yeah, we want to keep that side, that's fine, save that. And launcher settings.json is just going to complain every time we do anything here. So what I probably want to do is to take the one from the left-hand side, because then when I roll forward, it'll roll forward, continue to rebase. Program.cs, yeah, we want to keep that. Oh yeah, because changing the new line there messed with the history for that chunk of the file. All right, continue to rebase on that. What am I doing with this one? I'm pulling module 0 and rolling that all the way forward, so that becomes the one we wish we'd had in the first place, so nothing ever conflicted. That one there should be no differences between these two. These should be exactly the same. That shouldn't exist. There should be no commit on module 0, which includes the MVC testing files. So module 1 is the one we're going to pull with that. And that one there is, yeah, we'll pull that in. That's fine. Save that. Continue to rebase. Yep. We keep that one. Boom. We continue that. And that one we take. That side, because we changed our minds about formatting. Boom. Pull that forward. And now unittests.cs gets deleted. Webtests.cs, that one gets kept. And where the frick did they come from? Yep. Yay! We got ourselves in a Git hole. That one there, webtest.cs module 0, we've ended up at a point where the GUI tool that I'm using here no longer has any idea what it is exactly that's going on. Yay! And that one will scrub. And that one, yeah, reset changes to that one. Boom, pull that. That's cool. What? So this is where it stops working. Because I've messed up the history on the solution file and the code format itself. This one on module 1, that's the one we want to keep. So there's that. Commit and merge that. Pull that should be clean. Push that should be clean. Okay, hello Mac. Come on. Mac's here. Cat. Mac has come to fix it. Mac says get rebase is stupid. Mac says we should have snacks instead. Aw, buddy. Those people are on the internet and they can see you. Can you see them? No, you can't. But you can read their messages in the chat, right? Yes. He always wants snacks. Yeah, Mac lives to snack, except sometimes when he's asleep, he doesn't know whether he wants a snack because he's asleep. Okay, so now, did that work? Let's go into... where are we? Placeholder, there. So what are we on? We're on a git status on that. We're on module 1, nothing to commit, working tree clean, .NET test. If the .NET test works, I'm going to be happy that we didn't... I didn't screw anything up too badly. There we go. All right. Ask you how you know. Yeah. Mac is just waiting patiently. Mac gets his snacks every day at 5 p.m. and it's currently 4:27. So Mac is like 33-minute snack countdown has begun. Right. So. And now we go back over to here. Now at the moment, the tooling for this is looking like, if you've been watching all afternoon, you've been like, why are we doing this? Reason is, once we get into doing some more sophisticated stuff, it actually becomes really nice being able to use Git tooling to say, hey, what changed between module 3 and module 4? And compare those things side by side, pull the code across from one to the other. I may end up just dumping the whole idea of, because the other thing you can always do is to build the code as a bunch of side-by-side folders. And then basically you have a script that says, right, create an empty Git repo, put module 0 in it, commit, push. Put module 1 over the top, commit, push. Put module 2 over the top, commit, push. Module 3, commit, push. And you can roll forward that way. That may end up being a cleaner way of doing it. Today I just wanted to test out what we could do with this kind of stuff. Yeah. That's pretty good though. I'm kind of happy with that. Let me do a pull on that. Pull down the latest everything's. Yep, that's fine. Module 1, pull that one, pull that one, pull that one. Do a git rebuild. That's rerun that. So get started. That's given us that one. Actually getting started. There's that one. There's that one. I'm gonna hack my SAS again because I think that code is too small. You see that? You see the way it goes, whoo, and then it drops back. Okay, so it's doing a reload, and then it's falling back to the cached version of the CSS that's in the browser there. So let's refresh that. With this typeface, that looks a little better, and when I blow it up to 1920 full screen, yeah, that's a decent presentation format. Cool. All right. I'm going to knock it on the head there, folks. Reason being that what I need to do next is writing. Writing words, and it is very, very difficult to write words at the same time as you're saying words. Writing is something where I take the bit of my brain that normally generates the voiceover, and I point it at the fingers instead, and it writes that stuff down so I know what I'm going to be saying. So yeah, that was interesting today though. We got some good stuff done. I'm probably going to change the name back to placeholder with an E, just because of the number of times today I've messed that up. That's an early sign. Yeah, anyone got any random questions before we knock the stream on the head for the day? This is your chance for that was too short. I've been on for like 3.5 hours. I've been on for like when I kind of tuned in today, or I don't know, do you tune in? Do we tune? Like, tuning in is one of those expressions. Like, no one ever tunes into anything anymore. But yeah, I've been bashing Git in two temporal dimensions for like 3 hours now, and my brain is tired. Also, Max says it's snack time, which means it's probably time to go and think about giving Max some snacks. Yeah, I'll be back on tomorrow. I got a bunch more stuff to do. I got loads of stuff I need to do with this. So, thanks for tuning in, gang. Nice to see you all. Thank you for the questions and the suggestions and the chat and the discussions about Blazor and all that kind of stuff. And I'll catch you next time around. You had fun and the stream felt short. Well, hopefully next time you'll have fun and the stream will feel longer. So, all right. Take it easy, folks.